Over the last month or so, we've been fortunate to sail on Celebrity Apex and Cunard's Queen Elizabeth, both in their suite class cabins. So on Celebrity, that's called Retreat, and on Queen Elizabeth, it was in the Queen's Grill. And quite a few people sort of said, what's it like and how do they compare and contrast? So we're going to look at 6 different areas. Probably the suite itself, the service you get inside the suite, the special deck areas you have access to, the suite class lounge on both ships, the restaurant, and then some very general bits about the 2 different lines. So in the suites, we were actually staying in a royal suite on Celebrity Apex. But I'm not going to talk about that because it wouldn't be a fair comparison to what we had on Cunard, which was a very similar size to the Q5, Q4 and Q3, which are all the entry level suites on the Cunard ships when it's Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth. The suites are all very similar size on both lines. What I would say is Cunard, the cabin is very much more traditional than Celebrity, with some woods, very traditional colourings, blues, reds and golds, marble bathrooms, whereas on Celebrity they're very much more white and vibrant and very, very modern. The 2 shots that we've got are from the Royal Suite, but it just gives you the type of feeling as to the atmosphere in the cabin. But then you move on to the service you actually get in the suite. They both benefit from butlers, or on Celebrity they're called retreat hosts. But that's where the similarities end, because Cunard, you actually get a free setup bar with spirits and wines and beers and soft drinks and waters that get replenished daily. On Celebrity, you don't get that. You get a minibar in the cabin, but it's a paid for minibar. Although if you have the drinks package, which is included in the suite, everything outside of the suite itself comes free of charge. The other difference is the dining experience you can have in the suites. On both of them, the butler will serve you food from the main restaurant that you dine in as a suite passenger. But the difference is with Cunard, if you want to entertain in the evening, they will bring you a hot and cold selection of canapes, which are very, very different to the crisps and nuts you get in a Sky Suite on Celebrity. Of course, on the Sky Suite, you can pay extra for more deluxe canapes, but in Cunard, it's actually included. So when it comes to cabin, the actual cabin itself, I would say they're very much a tie. But if you look at the in-cabin service, I think Cunard has the edge and would win that category. When you go outside of the cabin, both companies have an area of deck that is reserved for suite passengers. It's called the Retreat on Celebrity and it's called the Grills Terrace on Cunard. Both have incredibly comfy beds. The thickness of the beds on Cunard is amazing. They're so comfortable. Again, on Celebrity they are as well. So there's not a lot to compare between those. You get butlers offering drinks on both of them. Afternoon tea is served on the Grills Terrace on Cunard, where it isn't on the Retreat. But where I think Celebrity wins hands down on this is the extra facilities it has in the Retreat area. So if you're outside on Celebrity, there's a pool, there's hot tubs, there's a fully stocked bar, there's a little restaurant area, and all of that is therefore made to feel very exclusive, particularly in warm climate cruises where you're more likely to take advantage of it. So I think as far as outdoor space is concerned, then I think Celebrity wins that category hands down. So how do we get on then if we look at the lounge that is reserved for suite guests on each line? So both of them are separate areas. The Queen's Grill lounge is lovely. It's very traditional with woods and leathers. It has a fully stocked bar, although the drinks you have to pay for, apart from teas and coffees, which are available from about 10 o'clock in the morning, free of charge. It's quite a small area, so it was always quite crowded when we were on board, and trying to find a seat in there at some times was quite difficult. Celebrity's equivalent is a lot brighter. It has panoramic views of the outside out to the sea. It has a free bar in it, and it also has all the way through the day, whether it be breakfast, lunch, afternoon tea, or in the evening, different canapes and nibbles and light bites to have, which isn't available on Cunard. They do have canapes on Cunard in the evening, but Celebrity just offers that little bit more. And of course, as I mentioned, a fully stocked bar service. The other thing that happens in the retreat is the officers tend to mingle up there a lot more than they would in Queen's Grill, and they have different acts on in there in the evening, tending to be pianists or singers, just for pre-dinner entertainment. You occasionally get that in the Queen's Grill Lounge on Queen Mary 2, but we've not seen it on Elizabeth or Victoria because it's quite small there. In both lounges, they have a concierge who's there to help you, to save you the need to go down to guest relations. There were 3 people working the retreat as concierges, whereas there was the one in Queen's Grill were on there, both providing very, very similar services. But putting it all together with the more space, the fully stocked bar that's inclusive within your cruise fare, then I think the retreat lounge wins hands down again over the Queen's Grill Lounge on Cunard. Probably the most difficult area to evaluate is the restaurant experience. We were eating in Queen's Grill on Cunard, and there is Lumine on Apex, which is their restaurant specifically for their suite passengers, whichever grade of suite you're in. Starting with Queen's Grill, it's a very traditional restaurant. Again, woods and leather. You've got the silver cutlery, you've got Dartington crystal, you've got Wedgwood plates, and you've got some panoramic views out to sea. It's quite high up on the ship. It's a very elegant restaurant, quite intimate, a lot smaller than the equivalent on Apex. There's an extensive menu in Queen's Grill. It changes each day. There is also a very extensive a la carte menu. And on top of that, if you can't find anything on those menus that you want, or you just want to change and pick your own food, then the chefs will cook you anything, given reasonable notice, as long as the ingredients are on board. There's a lot of flambeing tableside and tabletop service, and during our cruise we made some special requests, not too difficult: caviar, rack of lamb, crepe Suzette and dressed crab, just to name but a few. If you go to the Queen's Grill restaurant, you'll have the same table every meal: breakfast, lunch, dinner, same wait staff, and that's always reserved to you so you can eat whenever you want on during the opening times. And the advantage of Queen's Grill is it opens every day at lunchtime. Afternoon tea is served in a different restaurant, the Princess Grill, but that's no hardship. If you compare that to Lumine on Apex, slightly different setup. You can go in anytime you want, although it's only open at lunchtime on sea days. So most days it's open for breakfast and dinner. You don't get the same table and the same wait staff, although what the maitre d' normally tries to do is put you in the same area each time you go into the restaurant, so that you do get to know the wait staff and they get to know your preferences. It's quite a short menu. There's normally 4 or 5 starters, main courses, etc. And there is an everyday available menu as well. So not quite as extensive as Queen's Grill, but the way the presentation is done is absolutely stunning. And the pictures that we've just shown compare how the rack of lamb is presented in Queen's Grill compared to how the lamb rump is presented in Lumine. But if you were pushing me for an answer, I think I would go for the restaurant experience on Cunard in Queen's Grill, purely because of the reserved table and the same wait staff guaranteed for every meal. So I think that we then need to think about some of the other general points about what's included normally in the cruise fares. So if you book on Celebrity, you will get a premium drinks package included, which is all your spirits and wines that are available by the glass. You can't get bottles within that. The tips are included. You get free streaming, fast Wi-Fi, and you also get a fairly substantial amount of onboard credit. For us, it was $800, which is great if you're doing excursions or want to eat in specialty restaurants, of which there are numerous on Celebrity's Apex. On Cunard, you may get, particularly for a UK passenger, a small amount of onboard credit, but you wouldn't normally get a drinks package in the grills. So if you're looking at like-for-like pricing for the same cruise, then Celebrity is probably better value all in. But you have to look at the package overall, including what you want out of a holiday. Cunard is certainly a more formal ship. There's a higher dress code, higher expectations. Most nights you'll see people in jackets and suits or tuxedos. You won't see that anywhere near as much on Celebrity Apex, even on their evening chic nights, where people do make a bit of an effort. But because certainly when we've been in warmer climates, then it's tended to be open neck shirts and chinos, very few dinner jackets being seen on their equivalent to the formal night. So the formality of the dress code is extended around just the ships in general. So if you're on Cunard, you've got long, lovely corridors that are all lined with wood and pictures. You've got a huge atrium which is full of marquetry work. You've got a very traditional pool with teak surrounds and very, very simple but functional. Comparing that to Apex, you've got things like a magic carpet that's cantilevered off the side of the ship, which is a bar and a restaurant. You've got huge pool areas with works of art around. And the main atrium is a huge martini bar with chandeliers. It's difficult to describe, but I think the picture will tell you what it's like. So I think you're comparing whether you like ships in general about a very traditional feel or whether you want modern and vibrant. So how would I sum it up overall? Which wins? And I'm not going to take a cop out, but I think it depends on what itinerary you're doing. I think if you're doing a warm weather itinerary where deck space is important and being outside is important, then because of the retreat area outside and the retreat decks and the general facilities on Celebrity's Apex, I think that would win. However, if the cruise is to a colder climate, then I think Cunard probably wins because the deck space isn't as important. The cabin service is a touch above Celebrity's, and the restaurant I think beats Celebrity's Luminé, although it's a very difficult one to call. Having said all of that, when you look at the price points, particularly for UK passengers, Celebrity's Sky Suites seem to be very similar in price to Cunard's, but however you get a lot more included: your drinks, your tips, your Wi-Fi and onboard credit. So there you are. That's my view. I'm sure others will agree or disagree. Feel free to post something below. Let's have a conversation around it. But I think it's important that people start to explore different cruise lines rather than just stick with the same offering all the time.